Welcome to day 2 of videos for homework. So today, or tonight, depending on when you're doing this, you are going to be launching problem 1.3. So we're done looking at the fireplaces. 1.3 is pretty tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start it with you for homework. And then when you come in tomorrow, you're going to just finish it when you come into class. All right, who has ever been to a hotel or a community center where there's a swimming pool, but part of the swimming pool is inside? Then you swim under like a little window or a door, and then you're in a pool, but it's outside. Hopefully you're all saying me. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out, we know what the indoor part of this pool looks like, but we don't know what the outdoor part of this pool looks like. So over here we have an equation, though, lucky for us, that tells us the area of the indoor plus the outdoor part of the pool. So if we can start by figuring out at least which pieces of these 4 pieces represents the indoor part of the pool, then I can look at, okay, well, what's left? And that has to be the outdoor piece of the pool. Okay, so if I look here, I can see this indoor part of the pool has a rectangle, and it has a half circle. Okay, they tell us that the length of the rectangle is 4x, and then the radius of the circle is x. Now, I hope you remember, but just as a quick review, if here's a circle, from the edge to the center is a radius. However, from the edge through the center to the other is the diameter. Okay, so hopefully remember that a radius is 1/2 of the diameter, which means the diameter would be equal to 2 radii. So, if we have a pool with a radius of x, then down here would be another x. So together, this whole diameter would be x plus x, which easy peasy is just 2x. Now, what's cool about this diameter of the circle is it's also the width of the pool. Okay, so we know that the area formula of a rectangle is length times width. Okay, so I know the length is 4x and the width is 2x. Now, because these are all joined by multiplication, the commutative property lets me rewrite them in any order. So from here, I'm like, oh, 4 times 2, that's just 8. But then I'm like, I don't know what x times x is. It's different than x plus x, so it can't be 2x. So let's think about then, well, what if x was 3? If I had 3 times 3, well, we know that to be 9. But we know that if I take anything and multiply it by itself, I can write it to the second power. So if 3 times 3 is 3 squared, 4 times 4 would be 4 squared. Well, then that must mean that x times x is just x squared. Okay, so if that's the area of the rectangle, we now have to find the area of this half circle. If you remember from last year when we played around with the circumference and the area of circles, we found out that the area was equal to pi r squared. Or apple pies are 2. If you remember, cherry pie is delicious, apple pies are 2. Well, I don't want the whole circle, I just want half of it, so I'm going to take this and divide it by 2. Alright, all we plug in for to find the area is the radius. And we have said that the radius is just x. So I'm going to plug in an x where the r was, and I know that's going to get chopped in half. Okay, so here are my 2 pieces for the area of the indoor pool. I didn't mean to just circle that. Okay, so let's go to this awful, ugly equation. But I look at this and I see this and I see this. Okay, so I know these 2 pieces have to be the indoor oops, where'd it go? The indoor pool. Okay, so we have pi x squared divided by 2 was our half circle, plus 8x squared, which was our rectangle. So this leaves x squared and pi x squared divided by 4 as our outdoor part of the pool. So we have x squared plus pi x squared divided by 4. All right, we're going to start with this guy because he's actually easier. Okay, this pi x squared, well, I look at this and I just see, hey, that is the area of a circle. Before, we divided it by 2 to cut it in half. Well, now if it's being divided by 4, I just want a fourth of it, or a quarter. So if you picture a circle, I don't want a half, I want a quarter. So I just want this piece right here. Well, if you notice, here and here were both radii, and R, where R was, now just has an X. Okay, so this would be a quarter circle with a radius of X. X squared. Okay, we said to get X squared, that's simply X times X. Well, that looks like possibly the area formula of a rectangle. Okay, because I have length times width. However, I notice that if the length and the width are both labeled X, then they have to be the same thing. And if they're the same thing, we don't have a rectangle, we have a square. So we have a square where the length and the width are X. Okay, all I will be checking in class tomorrow is just to make sure that you have completed the notes on pages 12 and 13.